A small-town mechanic laughs when a black woman in modest clothes asks for service on her old sedan. He refuses, citing a full schedule though the shop stands empty. She leaves quietly, dignity intact. But when a convoy of luxury vehicles arrives days later, each worth millions, the mechanic's world shatters. The woman steps out not as a victim but as the owner of the largest automotive empire in the region. What happens next will leave you speechless. The sound hit first, sharp, dismissive laughter cutting through the quiet hum of an empty garage. Derek Miller leaned against his workbench, arms crossed, eyes scanning the woman standing in his doorway. She wore simple jeans and a faded jacket. Her car sat outside, steam rising from beneath the hood like a distress signal. "I'm sorry, but can you help me?" Maya's voice remained steady, professional. "My car overheated, I just need." "Can't help you today." Derek didn't even glance at the vehicle. His tone carried the weight of finality, as if he'd already decided her worth before she finished speaking. Maya blinked. Behind Derek, the garage stretched wide and vacant, 3 empty bays, tools hung unused on pristine walls, no customers, no ongoing repairs, just silence and space. She gestured gently toward the emptiness. "I see you have availability, it shouldn't take long." Derek's jaw tightened. He pushed off the workbench, took 2 steps closer. "I said we're booked solid, try downtown, they might have time for you." The emphasis on "you" landed like a stone. Marcus Webb, the young apprentice organizing tools in the corner, froze, his hands stilled on a wrench. He looked at Maya, then at his boss, discomfort flickering across his face. Maya stood perfectly still. She'd felt this before, the invisible wall, the judgment coded in tone and posture. Steam still rose from her father's old sedan outside. The 2008 model had carried her through college, through her first business deals, through the night her father died. She kept it running as a promise. Now it needed help. And this man saw only someone unworthy of his time. But she didn't know what waited just beyond this moment. A reckoning that would change everything. Where are you from? Drop your location in the comments below. And if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more. 3 hours earlier, Maya Coleman had started her day the way she always did, quietly, without fanfare. Her apartment sat above a small bookstore in the city's older district. Modest furniture, clean lines, nothing that screamed wealth. The only luxury visible was the coffee maker, imported from Italy, a gift she'd allowed herself after closing her first $10 million deal. She showered, dressed in comfortable clothes, then opened her laptop. The screen illuminated dozens of notifications. Coleman Luxury Motors, her empire, demanded attention across 5 states, dealerships in 3 major cities, manufacturing partnerships with European brands, a fleet management division serving corporate clients. Her company's revenue last quarter alone had exceeded $200 million. Forbes called her the Queen of Wheels. Bloomberg featured her in their 40 under 40 list. She'd built this from her father's foundation, expanding what James Coleman started into something he'd never imagined possible. Yet Maya lived simply. She shopped at regular grocery stores. She wore jeans more than suits. And she drove her father's 2008 sedan, the car he'd taught her to change oil in, the car that represented everything about integrity and hard work. This morning, the sedan had other plans. 15 minutes into her drive across town for a community meeting, the temperature gauge spiked. Steam erupted. Maya pulled into the nearest side street, checking her phone for nearby shops. Miller's Auto Shop appeared first, 2 blocks away, 4-star rating, claiming honest service since 1987. She locked the car and walked. The neighborhood felt comfortable, working class, the kind of place her father would have appreciated. Small businesses lined the street, a diner, a laundromat, children's laughter echoed from a nearby playground. Maya had no idea this detour would expose something rotten beneath a polished surface. The shop sign hung slightly crooked, paint fading at the edges. Through the window, she could see the empty interior. What happened next would test everything her father taught her about grace under pressure. Maya stepped through the door. A bell chimed overhead. Derek Miller looked up from his phone and his expression shifted, something subtle, something practiced. He straightened, but not in welcome, in assessment. "Good morning," Maya said warmly. "My car overheated just up the street. Could you take a look? I think it might be the radiator." Derek set his phone down slowly. His eyes traveled from her face to her clothes to the doorway behind her. "What kind of car?" "The 2008 Honda Accord." A smirk tugged at Derek's mouth. "That's pretty old, might not be worth fixing." "It has sentimental value." Maya kept her tone pleasant. "Can you check it?" Derek glanced at Marcus, who'd stopped pretending to work and now watched the exchange. "We're pretty backed up today, booked solid actually. You'd be better off trying downtown. They handle older vehicles." The pause before older vehicles stretched just long enough to sting. Maya's trained eye swept the garage again. Empty bays, unused lifts, equipment gathering dust, not a single customer car in sight. The lie hung between them, shameless and transparent. "I see." Maya's voice remained level. "How long is the wait typically?" "Week, maybe two." Derek crossed his arms. "Like I said, downtown's your best bet." The bell chimed again. A man in a business suit entered, car keys jingling in his hand. White, clean-cut, confident stride, Derek's entire demeanor transformed. "Mr. Patterson, good to see you. Come right in." He moved past Maya without another glance, hand extended in greeting. The message couldn't have been clearer if he'd shouted it. "What seems to be the problem with your Lexus?" Derek asked, all warmth and professionalism now. "Just a standard service. Thought I'd drop by." "Absolutely, we'll get you sorted right away. Bay 2 is open." Derek gestured toward the empty space Maya had just been told didn't exist. Marcus set down his wrench, jaw clenched. He met Maya's eyes for one brief moment, an apology in his expression, helpless and ashamed. Maya stood in the doorway, watching Derek usher Mr. Patterson deeper into the shop. The contrast landed with brutal clarity. Same empty bays, same available time, different skin color, different clothes, different reception. She'd faced discrimination before, but this felt particularly sharp. The casual cruelty of it, the ease with which dignity was withheld. Maya turned and walked out. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Steam still rose from her father's sedan. She pulled out her phone, fingers steady despite the anger simmering beneath her calm exterior. Derek Miller had just made the worst business decision of his life. Maya sat in the driver's seat, hands resting on the steering wheel. The engine ticked as it cooled. Through the windshield, she could see the shop, Derek's silhouette moving inside, already focused on Mr. Patterson's Lexus, already having forgotten her existence. Her chest tightened, not with rage, with something older, more familiar, exhaustion. The kind that came from 1,000 small cuts, a lifetime of proving yourself twice as hard, of watching doors close before you even knocked. She'd built an empire. She'd earned her place at tables where few looked like her. She dressed well when business demanded it, spoke 4 languages, held degrees from top universities. None of that mattered to Derek Miller. He'd seen her jeans and her old car and decided she wasn't worth his time. Maya closed her eyes, her father's voice echoed from memory. "Baby girl, people will judge you. They'll see your skin before they see your soul. Don't let it make you bitter. Let your success speak when words fail." She opened her eyes, pulled out her phone, dialed. "Lisa, it's Maya. I need you to pull files on a local business, Miller's Auto Shop, 4th and Lexington. Everything. Financials, complaints, history. I want it within the hour." Her assistant, Lisa Chen, knew that tone. "Consider it done. Everything okay?" "Define okay." Maya's voice remained calm, controlled. "Also, prepare the full fleet inspection schedule. I want options for local service providers." "Including Miller's." "Especially Miller's." Maya watched Derek through the window, laughing with Mr. Patterson like old friends. "I want to know exactly who I'm dealing with." What Derek didn't know, what he couldn't possibly know, was that Maya Coleman didn't seek revenge. She sought revelation. She hung up, started the car, the engine sputtered but caught, she'd make it home. And then she'd decide exactly how to handle this. Not with anger, with something far more powerful. Justice wrapped in the truth Derek had been too blind to see. That evening, Maya sat in her home office, surrounded by photographs. Her favorite showed her father, James Coleman, standing beside his first dealership, a modest lot with 15 used cars and a dream. He wore coveralls, hands stained with grease, smile wide as the sky. James Coleman had started with nothing. Son of a mechanic, raised in the same kind of neighborhood where Miller's auto shop now sat. He'd learned cars from the ground up, saved every dollar, treated every customer with dignity regardless of what they drove or how they dressed. Respect is free, he'd told Maya countless times. Costs nothing to give but everything to withhold. He'd built Coleman Luxury Motors on that principle. Fair prices, honest service, no discrimination. When other dealers turned away customers who looked wrong or drove cheap cars, James welcomed them. Word spread, business grew. Within a decade, he'd expanded to 3 locations. Then came the luxury division. Partnerships with European manufacturers, exclusive dealerships. By the time Maya graduated from business school, Coleman Luxury Motors was a regional powerhouse. Her father had proved that integrity and success weren't opposites, they were partners. When he died 5 years ago, Maya inherited everything. The business, the reputation, the responsibility. She'd expanded aggressively: fleet management, corporate contracts, international partnerships. Forbes estimated her net worth at $1.2 billion. She was 34 years old. But she kept the sedan. That beat-up 2008 Honda her father had driven through his final years. He'd refused to upgrade even when surrounded by Bentleys and Ferraris. "This car reminds me where I started," he'd explained. "Never forget your roots, Maya. Never think you're above anyone." Now, staring at his photograph, Maya understood why this moment with Derek Miller mattered so much. It wasn't about her bruised pride. It was about every person Derek would turn away tomorrow, next week, next year. Every customer judged by appearance rather than character. Her father had fought that battle his entire life. Maya wouldn't let his lesson die with him. Lisa's email arrived. Maya opened the attachment, reading carefully. Miller's auto shop, struggling finances, declining customer base, 3 formal complaints in 18 months alleging discriminatory service. All complaints filed by minority customers, all dismissed as misunderstandings. Interesting detail: Coleman Luxury Motors' acquisition team had approached Derek twice in the past 3 years, offering to buy his property for expansion. Derek had rejected both offers, reportedly calling them corporate garbage from people who don't understand real work. Maya's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile, more like recognition. Derek Miller was about to learn exactly what real work looked like. Over the next 2 days, Maya did what she did best: gathered information. She sent Lisa to the neighborhood around Miller's shop. Lisa returned with stories. A Latino family turned away when their transmission failed, told the wait was months. An elderly black man charged triple the standard rate for a simple oil change, then mocked when he questioned the price. But there were other stories too. Marcus Webb, the young apprentice, had reportedly argued with Derek multiple times about refusing service to certain customers. Marcus had been raised in the neighborhood, knew the families Derek dismissed. According to Lisa's sources, Marcus was the only reason the shop hadn't completely lost its community reputation. Maya pulled Marcus's background: 22 years old, automotive technology degree from community college, hired by Derek 18 months ago, good worker, honest, caught in a bad situation with a boss whose prejudices were becoming impossible to ignore. Then came the financial records, public information, easily accessed. Miller's auto shop was drowning. Revenue down 40% over 3 years, expenses climbing. Derek had remortgaged his house twice. One more bad quarter and he'd lose everything. Maya leaned back in her chair, processing. Derek was desperate, yet still turning away paying customers based on how they looked. Prejudice overriding survival instinct. It was almost impressive in its stupidity. Her phone buzzed, text from her fleet manager, Thursday inspection scheduled, 20 vehicles need standard service. Where should I send them? Maya stared at the message, 20 luxury vehicles. Coleman Luxury Motors Executive Fleet. Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, Maybachs, combined value north of $15 million. They needed routine maintenance, oil changes, tire rotations, detail work. Standard service any competent shop could handle. The regional contract was worth $2 million annually. Maya had been considering 3 local providers. Miller's Auto Shop had the best location, closest to her headquarters, but location meant nothing without character. Then again, character could be tested, and lessons could be taught. Maya typed her response. Miller's Auto Shop, Thursday morning, 9 a.m., full convoy, I'll be there personally. She hit send, sat back, her father's photograph watched from the shelf. She imagined him shaking his head, that knowing smile on his face. You're going to make a scene, aren't you, baby girl? Just making sure the truth gets seen, Daddy, just like you taught me. Thursday morning arrived cool and clear. Derek Miller opened his shop at 7:30, coffee in hand, mentally preparing for another slow day. Bills sat unpaid on his desk. His wife's worried phone calls from last night still echoed in his mind. They were behind on the mortgage. Again. He unlocked the bay doors, flipped the lights. Marcus arrived at 8, quiet as usual. The kid had been distant lately, barely speaking beyond what work required. Derek told himself it didn't matter. He ran this shop his way, that's what mattered. At 8:50, Derek heard them. The sound filtered through the open bay doors. Engines. Multiple engines. Expensive engines, the kind that purred rather than rumbled. He stepped outside, coffee cup halfway to his lips. His brain couldn't process what his eyes registered. A convoy, 20 vehicles rolling down his street in perfect formation. Bentley Continental, Rolls-Royce Phantom, Maybach S-Class, Ferrari 812, Lamborghini Urus. Each one gleaming like jewelry under the morning sun, each one worth more than his shop's entire annual revenue. They stopped right in front of Miller's Auto Shop. Engines quieted simultaneously. Doors opened. Drivers stepped out in crisp uniforms, Coleman Luxury Motors embroidered on their chests. Derek's coffee cup slipped from his fingers. It shattered on the concrete, brown liquid spreading like spilled truth. From the lead vehicle, a silver Bentley Flying Spur, a woman emerged. She wore a tailored charcoal business suit. Hair styled perfectly, heels clicking against pavement, confidence radiating from every movement. Derek's mind screamed recognition even as denial tried to take hold. Same face, same eyes, different context, the woman from Monday, the woman he'd dismissed, the woman with the old Honda. Maya Coleman walked toward his shop, 15 drivers flanking her like an army. She stopped directly in front of Derek, meeting his eyes with an expression that contained no anger, no satisfaction. Just calm, devastating clarity. "Good morning, Mr. Miller," her voice carried across the sudden silence. "I believe you told me you were booked solid." Marcus appeared in the doorway behind Derek, eyes wide. He saw Maya, saw the convoy, understanding crashed over him like a wave. "Boss," he whispered. "That's Maya Coleman, Coleman Luxury Motors." Derek's legs weakened. The world tilted. Every assumption he'd made, every judgment he'd rendered, every customer he'd dismissed, all of it came rushing back with the force of a collision. Maya stepped closer, stopping just outside his shop entrance. "I came here Monday needing help. You judged me by my clothes, my car, my skin. You decided I wasn't worth your time." She gestured to the 20 luxury vehicles behind her. This is my fleet, worth approximately $15 million. It requires regular maintenance. Local service provider, $2 million annual contract. Derek couldn't breathe, couldn't think. His shop, his failing, desperate shop, stood empty behind him. And before him stood the solution to every financial problem he had, wrapped in the person he dismissed as beneath him. I was considering your shop, Maya continued. Perfect location, but I've learned something over the years, Mr. Miller. Character matters more than convenience. Respect costs nothing, yet you couldn't afford to give it. She let those words hang in the air. Derek opened his mouth, but nothing came out. No excuse existed. No justification possible. He'd seen a black woman in modest clothes and decided she didn't deserve basic decency. Now that woman stood before him holding the lifeline he desperately needed, and every reason not to throw it. Maya turned slightly, preparing to leave. Derek found his voice. Wait, please, Ms. Coleman, I made a terrible mistake. Please give me a chance to make this right. She paused, looked back. Her expression remained neutral, unreadable. For 5 seconds that felt like 5 hours, she studied him. Then she spoke, her voice carrying absolute finality. You have 1 month, Mr. Miller. Show this community you've changed. Serve everyone with the respect they deserve, regardless of how they look or what they drive. Prove you've learned something. Then maybe we'll talk about second chances. She walked back to her Bentley. The drivers returned to their vehicles. Engines started in synchronized perfection. The convoy pulled away, leaving Derek standing in front of his empty shop, surrounded by the shattered pieces of his pride and the devastating weight of his choices. Marcus stepped up beside him. Neither spoke. The silence felt like judgment, like truth, like the beginning of something Derek wasn't sure he was ready to face. Everything had changed. Nothing would ever be the same. Derek stood frozen long after the convoy disappeared. The morning sun felt too bright, too exposing. His shattered coffee cup lay at his feet, brown shards mixed with spilled liquid, a perfect metaphor for his life right now. Marcus finally broke the silence. I tried to tell you. His voice carried no satisfaction, just tired resignation. Monday, I tried to say something. Derek turned. You knew who she was. No, but I knew turning her away was wrong. Marcus picked up a broom, started sweeping the broken cup. Same way it was wrong last month with the Rodriguez family, same way it's been wrong every time you've done this. The words hit like physical blows. Derek wanted to argue to defend himself, but what defense existed? Maya Coleman had laid bare the truth. He'd judged her, dismissed her, cost himself everything because he couldn't see past his own prejudices. His phone buzzed, text from his wife Jennifer. Did you deposit the mortgage payment? Bank called again. Derek's hands shook. He had nothing to deposit. The shop barely covered utilities. They were 3 months behind, 1 more month and they'd lose the house. His daughter's college fund already depleted. His retirement gone, used to keep the business limping forward. And he just turned away $2 million because a black woman didn't look wealthy enough to deserve his time. The weight of it crushed him, every choice, every assumption, every moment of casual cruelty disguised as business decisions. Derek walked into his office, closed the door, sat at his desk surrounded by unpaid bills and fading photographs of better days. He'd inherited this shop from his father, who'd inherited it from his grandfather. 3 generations of Miller men serving this community. Except Derek hadn't been serving, he'd been selecting, choosing who deserved respect based on skin color and appearance. His father would have been ashamed. Derek put his head in his hands and finally confronted the man he'd become. An hour later, Marcus knocked on the office door. Derek looked up, eyes red. What? There's someone here to see you. Derek's stomach dropped. If it's another customer, It's me you need to see. Marcus stepped inside, closing the door behind him. He pulled up a chair, sat down across from Derek. We need to talk, really talk. Derek leaned back. Go ahead, tell me what a terrible person I am, I already know. That's not what I'm here for. Marcus's voice stayed level calm. I'm here because I've watched you destroy this business for 18 months, and I'm tired of staying quiet. Derek blinked once. You think you're struggling because of the economy, because of corporate competition? Marcus shook his head. You're struggling because you keep turning away half the neighborhood. The Rodriguez family, they told everyone. Mrs. Chen, she posted online. That elderly man you overcharged, he's a deacon at the biggest church in 3 blocks. The words landed like revelations. Derek had blamed everything, online retailers, chain shops, rising costs. Never once considered that his own actions were killing his business. Could his prejudice really have cost him this much? Marcus continued, I grew up here. These people are my neighbors, my friends' parents. They need honest car service and you were the closest option. But word spreads fast when someone's treating people unfairly. Why didn't you say something? Derek's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? I tried multiple times. You didn't want to hear it. Marcus met his eyes. But Ms. Coleman gave you something I couldn't, a reason to listen. You're facing a choice now. Change because it's right or lose everything because you refused. Derek sat in silence, processing. Marcus was 22 years old, just a kid. Yet he possessed more wisdom and integrity than Derek had shown in years. What do I do? Derek's voice came out small, defeated. How do I fix this? Marcus leaned forward. You start by serving everyone who walks through that door. No judgment, no assumptions, fair prices, honest work like your grandfather did. Will it be enough? Will people forgive me? I don't know. Marcus's honesty cut deep. But staying the same guarantees you'll lose. Changing at least gives you a chance. For the first time in years, Derek felt something shift inside him. Not hope exactly, more like the possibility of hope. Help me, Derek said quietly. Please, I don't know how to do this alone. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, but we do this right, no half measures, real change. They started immediately. Marcus pulled up the shop's website, outdated, barely functional. First thing, new message, clear statement. All customers welcome, fair service guaranteed. Derek nodded, took notes. His pride wanted to resist, to claim he'd never been discriminatory. But Maya Coleman's convoy had shattered that delusion. The evidence was undeniable. Second, Marcus continued, we need to reach out, apologize to people you've turned away. Not because you want their business, because it's right. Derek's stomach churned, face the Rodriguez family, Mrs. Chen, the deacon, admit his mistakes publicly. But he thought of Maya's calm devastation, her quiet power. She could have destroyed him with one phone call. Instead, she'd given him a month, a chance. I'll make a list, Derek said, everyone I can remember. Third, prices, we've been overcharging certain customers. That stops now. Standard rates for everyone, posted clearly where everyone can see. Derek winced. He'd rationalized the price differences as market adjustments. Now he saw them for what they were, exploitation based on who he thought wouldn't question him. They worked through lunch, planning, new signage for the shop, community outreach. Marcus suggested hosting a free car safety clinic for neighborhood families. Show people you care about their safety, not just their money. Derek remembered something his grandfather used to say, we're not just fixing cars, we're building trust. He'd forgotten that lesson. Let prejudice override principle. But maybe, just maybe, he could rebuild what he'd broken. His phone rang. Jennifer, he answered, ready to deliver more bad news. Hey. Derek, what's happening? Mrs. Patterson just called. Said she saw a convoy of luxury cars at your shop this morning. Derek closed his eyes. That was Maya Coleman, Coleman Luxury Motors. The billionaire, why was she at our shop? Long story, but Jen, I messed up, really messed up, and I'm trying to fix it. Silence on the other end, Then Jennifer's voice softer, tell me what you need. For the first time in months, Derek didn't feel completely alone. 3 weeks passed. Derek worked harder than he'd worked in years. He personally visited the Rodriguez family, apologized sincerely. They listened, expressions skeptical. We'll see, Mr. Rodriguez said, not forgiveness, but not complete rejection either. Mrs. Chen accepted his apology with a curt nod. Deacon Williams heard him out at church, then said, actions speak louder than words, son, show us. Derek showed them. When a young black mother came in with a sputtering minivan, Derek greeted her warmly, diagnosed the problem honestly, charged fairly. She looked surprised, suspicious even. That's all. That's all, ma'am. Come back if you have any other troubles. She left looking confused but pleased. 2 days later, she returned with her sister. My sister needs her brakes checked. Word began to spread, slowly, cautiously. Derek treated every customer with respect, no judgment, no assumptions. Marcus worked beside him, reinforcing the change with his own example. The shop got busier, not dramatically but noticeably. People started giving Derek a second chance. He felt hope building, real hope. Maybe he could survive this. Maybe Maya Coleman would see he'd changed. Then on Thursday morning, exactly 3 weeks after the convoy, a familiar silver Bentley pulled up. Maya Coleman stepped out, dressed casually this time. Derek's heart raced. He wiped his hands on a rag, walked out to meet her. Ms. Coleman, his voice stayed steady despite his nervousness. Thank you for coming. Maya looked around, took in the new signage, the customers in the waiting area, diverse faces, all treated with equal respect. She nodded slightly. I've been watching, hearing things. Good things, I hope. Better things, she met his eyes. But 1 month isn't long, Mr. Miller. Old habits are easy to slip back into. I won't slip, I promise. Derek meant it. He'd seen what his prejudice cost him. He wouldn't make that mistake again. Maya seemed to consider this. Then she smiled faintly. I'd like you to service my father's car, the Honda. It still needs work. Derek's heart soared. This was it. Redemption, the contract, everything he'd worked for. Absolutely, bring it by any time. I'll handle it personally. Maya nodded, started to turn away, then she paused. Oh, and Mr. Miller, the fleet contract, I've decided to give it to Garcia's Auto Service, 3 blocks over. They've been serving this community fairly for 20 years. The words hit like a truck. Derek's hope shattered instantly. But I thought. You thought 3 weeks of decent behavior erased years of discrimination. Maya's voice remained calm but firm. Garcia never needed a billionaire to teach him respect. He gave it freely always. That's who deserves the contract. She got in her Bentley, drove away. Derek stood frozen, crushed. He'd changed. He'd worked so hard and it still wasn't enough. Maybe some damage couldn't be repaired. Maybe some lessons came too late. That evening, Derek sat with Jennifer at their kitchen table. He just explained everything. Maya's rejection, the lost contract, the crushing reality that changing for 3 weeks didn't erase years of harm. What happens now? Jennifer asked quietly. I don't know, keep trying, I guess. Hope it's enough to survive. His phone buzzed, email from Marcus. Subject line, read this. Derek opened it. Marcus had written, Boss, I know you're hurting, but think about why you changed. Was it for the contract or because it was right? If you changed just for money, then you didn't really change at all. But if you changed because you finally understood that every person deserves respect, then keep going. Don't stop because you didn't get what you wanted. Keep going because it's who you should have been all along. My grandfather used to say, real integrity is what you do when nobody's watching and there's no reward coming. Show me that integrity. Show this neighborhood. Show yourself. Derek read it twice, 3 times. Tears blurred his vision. Marcus was right. He'd been so focused on the contract, on saving his business, that he'd missed the deeper lesson. This wasn't about money. It was about becoming a better man. He thought of his daughter now in college. What kind of father had he been? What example had he set? That success mattered more than character. That prejudice was acceptable if it was subtle enough. He thought of his grandfather, the man who'd built this shop on honesty and respect. The man who'd served every customer equally, who'd taught Derek that dignity wasn't negotiable. Derek had dishonored that legacy for years. Jennifer reached across the table, took his hand. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking I changed for the wrong reasons. I wanted the contract. I wanted to save the business." He met her eyes. "But Marcus is right. If I only respect people when there's money involved, I haven't changed at all." "So what now?" Derek stood, walked to the window. Outside, his neighborhood stretched away, working families, diverse faces, people just trying to live decent lives. People who deserved respect whether they drove luxury cars or barely running sedans. "Now I change because it's right. Not because it benefits me, not because someone's watching, because it's who I should be." Jennifer smiled softly. "Your grandfather would be proud of that." For the first time, Derek felt he might actually deserve that pride. He texted Marcus back, "You're right, tomorrow we keep going, not for a contract, for what's right." The response came immediately, "That's the boss I want to work for." 2 weeks later, Derek arrived at his shop at dawn. 6 weeks since Maya's convoy, 6 weeks of treating every customer with respect, 6 weeks of building something better than before. The shop wasn't wealthy, the contract had gone to Garcia deservedly, but people were coming back slowly, cautiously trusting that the change was real. Derek unlocked the doors, started coffee. Marcus arrived 15 minutes later with pastries for the waiting area, his idea, a small gesture of welcome. At 8 a.m., a familiar silver Bentley pulled into the lot. Maya Coleman emerged, followed by another vehicle. The old Honda Accord. Derek's heart stuttered, but he kept his expression neutral. No expectations, just service. "Good morning, Ms. Coleman's." "Good morning, Mr. Miller." Maya handed him the keys. "Radiator issue, and probably time for a full tune-up. It's been neglected." "I'll take care of it personally." Derek took the keys. "Should have it ready by end of day." Maya nodded, then she surprised him. "Mind if I wait? I'd like to see how you work." Derek froze. A test, obviously a test, but he'd committed to this path regardless of who watched. Of course, there's coffee and pastries inside. He pulled the Honda into Bay 1. Marcus joined him. Together they worked, checking systems, diagnosing issues. The radiator needed replacing, thermostat was shot, oil change overdue, serpent belt cracking. Derek wrote everything down, calculated costs fairly. He walked to the waiting area where Maya sat, reading something on her phone. "Ms. Coleman, here's what we found." He showed her the list, explained each item. "Total comes to $875. The radiator's the biggest expense. Everything else is standard maintenance." Maya studied the invoice. "How long?" "4 hours, give or take." "Fair prices." "Standard rate, same I'd charge anyone." Derek met her eyes. "No adjustments based on who's asking." Maya smiled slightly. "I'll wait." Derek returned to work. Over the next 4 hours, other customers came and went. An elderly Latino couple with transmission trouble, a young black woman needing tire rotation, a white businessman wanting oil change. Derek treated each person identically, respectful, honest, fair. He didn't realize Maya was watching every interaction carefully. At noon, Marcus pulled him aside. "Boss, there are people outside." Derek stepped out. A small crowd had gathered. The Rodriguez family, Mrs. Chen, Deacon Williams, others from the neighborhood. They stood quietly, watching through the windows. Derek's throat tightened. He walked outside. "Can I help you folks?" Mr. Rodriguez spoke first. "We heard Ms. Coleman was here. Heard you've been treating people right for 6 weeks now. We wanted to see for ourselves. Mrs. Chen nodded. Actions speak louder than words. We're seeing actions. Deacon Williams stepped forward. I'm not ready to forget what happened before, but I'm willing to acknowledge what's happening now. That's progress. Derek felt emotion rising. I'm sorry for all of it. I'm trying to be better. Keep trying, the deacon said. That's all anyone can do. The crowd dispersed. Derek returned inside shaken. Maya was standing now watching him. That, she said quietly, is what accountability looks like. Derek nodded, unable to speak. He returned to the Honda, finished the work. By 3 p.m. it was ready. He brought the keys to Maya. All set, runs like new. Maya paid cash, exact amount including tip for Marcus. She took the keys, started to leave, then she turned back. Mr. Miller, I'm not giving you the fleet contract. Garcia earned it. Derek's heart sank, but he nodded. I understand. However, Maya continued, my father's car needs regular maintenance. Monthly service, I'd like you to handle it if you're willing. Derek's breath caught. Monthly service. Consistent work, but more than that, trust. I'd be honored, Ms. Coleman's. There's a condition. Maya's expression turned serious. You keep doing what you've been doing, every customer, every day, no backsliding, because I'll be asking around, and if I hear you've slipped. You won't, I promise. Maya extended her hand. Derek shook it. Her grip was firm, her eyes assessing. Second chances are rare, Mr. Miller, don't waste this one. She drove away in her father's Honda. Derek watched until it disappeared, feeling something he hadn't felt in years, genuine, earned respect. 6 months passed. Miller's auto shop transformed completely. Derek hired 2 additional mechanics, Maria Santos and James Wright, diverse team, fair wages, respectful environment. The shop wasn't making millions, but it was stable, growing. The neighborhood began to trust again, not easily, not quickly, but steadily. Maya's Honda came in monthly, like clockwork. Each time Derek treated it with the same care he'd give any vehicle. Word spread beyond the neighborhood. A local news site ran a story, local shop owners' journey from prejudice to progress. Derek participated in the interview, uncomfortably honest about his failures. I let bias blind me to basic human decency. I'm working every day to be better. The article went viral locally. Some praised his transparency, others remained skeptical. Derek understood trust was earned, not declared. Marcus got promoted to head mechanic. His leadership transformed the shop's culture. Young people from the neighborhood started applying for apprenticeships. Derek accepted 3, teaching them not just car repair, but the integrity his grandfather had tried to teach him. Jennifer noticed the change at home too. Derek was lighter somehow, less defensive, more present. Their daughter visited during break, and Derek had real conversations with her about character, about the importance of seeing people clearly. One afternoon, Maya arrived unexpectedly, not with a Honda, with a proposal. I'm expanding my community outreach program, she explained. Teaching young people about automotive careers, I need a partner shop, somewhere that represents the values I'm trying to teach. Derek listened, hardly daring to hope. I'd like Miller's Auto Shop to host our first program, monthly workshops, paid internships for participants. Are you interested? Derek's eyes watered. This wasn't the fleet contract. It was something better, a chance to give back, to teach the next generation what he'd learned so painfully. Oh, yes, absolutely yes. Maya smiled, a genuine smile this time. Good, we start next month. As she left, Marcus approached. You did it, boss, you really changed. Derek shook his head. I'm still changing, every day, that's the point, you never stop working on being better. He looked around his shop, at the diverse team, at the customers being served fairly, at the future being built on integrity rather than prejudice. His grandfather's photograph hung on the wall now, restored and framed. Derek met those eyes and finally felt worthy of the legacy. Maya sat in her office that evening, the city lights spreading below like scattered diamonds. Her father's photograph rested on her desk, his smile permanent, his lessons eternal. She thought about Derek Miller, about second chances and earned redemption. Not everyone changed. Some people clung to prejudice until it destroyed them. But Derek had done the work, uncomfortable, humbling work, to become better. That was the lesson her father had taught her. Not to punish endlessly, but to hold people accountable while leaving space for growth. Justice without compassion was cruelty. Compassion without accountability was enabling. Derek had faced consequences, lost the big contract, faced his community's skepticism, confronted his own failures publicly, but he'd kept going, not for reward, for principle. That was real change. That was integrity forged in fire. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Monthly workshop had 40 kids sign up. They're excited. Thank you for this opportunity. She smiled. 40 young people learning automotive skills in an environment that valued character as much as competence. 40 futures being shaped by the lesson Derek had learned painfully, that respect isn't conditional, it's foundational. Her father's sedan sat in the garage below. She'd never sell it, never upgrade. It reminded her why wealth meant nothing without character. Why success was measured not in dollars but in dignity given and received. Tomorrow she'd drive it again. Through the neighborhood where Derek's shop stood, past Garcia's auto service, now thriving with the fleet contract. Past families working hard, deserving respect, carrying dreams as valid as anyone's. She'd built an empire, but the greatest victory wasn't the billions. It was moments like this, holding mirrors up to prejudice, demanding accountability, leaving space for redemption when earned. Derek Miller had looked in that mirror, hadn't liked what he saw, but he'd done the hardest thing possible, changed. Not because a billionaire forced him, but because he finally understood that every human being deserves dignity, regardless of appearance, wealth, or background. Maya closed her father's journal, the one where he'd written all his lessons. The last entry read, "Success is temporary, character is forever. Build the second and the first will follow." She'd honored his teaching. Derek was learning it, Marcus lived it, and 40 young people would carry it forward. That was legacy, that was justice, that was the work that mattered most. The city lights gleamed below. Somewhere in those streets, Derek closed his shop, serving his last customer with respect. Garcia's team worked late, maintaining the fleet. Marcus planned tomorrow's workshop. Families drove home in cars that worked because someone treated them fairly. And Maya Coleman, billionaire, empire builder, her father's daughter, knew that some victories weren't counted in dollars. They were measured in dignity restored, lessons learned, and futures built on respect given freely to all. Respect costs nothing, but its absence costs everything. Choose wisely, choose always, choose everyone.